This year on Vibe, we've had quite a whirlwind of new and exciting guests. One of the type of guests that we've had on the show, and it's by pure coincidence, we've had the privilege of having several military veterans on the show. Our guest tonight falls into that exact category as well. From a tank commander to the LA riots in the early 90s, from film school to his own YouTube channel where he shoots episodes with an emphasis on military, adventure, and travel with a touch of survivalist. Tonight we'll review and talk about filmmaking after the military, as well as his newest project, Abels Promise. It's a story about a good cop with an imploding marriage, wrongful arrest, and drug cartel extortion, causing him to work outside the law to protect his family. That sounds like my kind of guy. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we cover filmmaker Anthony Crossen, and this is Desert Empire Vibe. Hey, welcome to Desert Empire Vibe. I am your host, Andrew Caravella, and tonight, another military veteran. We've had a lot on the show. I feel like you guys all just ganged up, wrote letters, and because our general manager is a military veteran as well, he just decided to just check, and that's how you got here. Okay. Anthony Crossen, Tony.
Yes.
Tony. So, 23 years in the military?
Right out of high school.
Right out of high school. Tank commander. That's like everyone's dream on like these video games, like World of Tanks. I use that because my brother, even though he's a veteran of the Marines himself, he really plays like those World of Tank kind of games. He thinks he's a tank commander. What does it take to be a tank commander?
You got to be smart.
Sorry, Alex. Sorry.
It's definitely the thinking man's game.
Okay. Very cool. Why the military of all things? Right out of high school.
Because I had to be all I could be for film school.
You fell for that commercial too,
yes,
right?
Yeah. I wanted to be all I could be.
You did Iraqi Freedom.
Yes.
A couple times. You did a couple tours over there.
Couple times.
Yeah. The LA riots, how does that work? Because you were military doing the LA riots?
Yeah, so during film school, one of the 3 jobs I had was California Guard. And when the riots happened, we were activated. We were federalized, sent to LA. It was pretty surreal. We stayed at the Masons Lodge.
Okay.
We had Playboy bunnies come and cook for us.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, not the riots, but you know what I mean.
It was pretty original, that's for sure.
So what was your job then? You can't really like shoot people.
No.
So like, what do you do?
So we kind of worked with the LAPD. During that time, they enforced a curfew. And what we were tasked to do was we would go out late at night and we'd set up observation posts and get all camouflaged up and everything.
Wait, it's urban though, so where do you hide it?
Right, well, it's night. So I remember one time we went to a Ralph's and it had been looted and everything.
Oh.
Well, in the parking lots, they have these big bush planters and stuff like that. Well, it turns out that homeless people sleep in there, and so they're kind of hollowed out on the inside. So we would get all camouflaged up, grab our radios, and we just, report anybody out past curfew. It was crazy.
So you were like a glorified snitch?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Scout for the technical
But you got like the
term,
night vision though, right?
Right.
Oh, you were definitely glorified snitch. That's so cool. Okay. Film school?
Yeah.
Was that the plan to go into the military and then go into film school?
That was the whole reason. The whole reason.
Okay, so you went to film school.
Yes.
What happened there?
Worked doing my shows. We worked in groups and it was pretty cool. I wound up being the default lead of this one group. We always seemed to come together for projects and stuff like that. Got an award for best PSA that I had done, and back then it was still on film, so we were
used
editing
tape and stuff.
No, we were on the big photo cams with the rolls of mag and stuff like that.
Before my life.
Yeah.
What was your PSA on?
It was, I think it was a seatbelt commercial or something like that. Yeah. So I wound up getting some footage from the National Institute of Highway Safety. They didn't have any film anymore. They all had videotape, but they had these big rolls of 16 millimeter film they send them for free, and I cut it into my show. And
Oh, that's cool. So, okay, being in the military for 23 years, is there a favorite part that you like about all that?
There was some heavy job satisfaction as an NCO, and leading and watching young people, be all they can be. Right?
There's that commercial again.
There it is. And so you get some fulfillment in there and mission accomplishment and stuff like that, and watching these young people grow for sure. But it definitely gives you a certain perspective on life, which can apply later as you're trying to tell stories about people that might include violence and stuff like that, and the consequences of violence, because that's a real thing.
Okay, so this whole tank commander thing, I can't get off of this. Is there anything cool that you've blown up in a tank?
Well, I mean, the whole job's pretty explosive, but no, I can't say. I was lucky. I wasn't not fortunate, but God has been with me. I've been protected, so I haven't had to fire a shot in anger. I've been fired at, but.
But what about like a building? Like you look in your little periscope thing. Is that what it's called, the periscope?
Yeah, the sights. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you see the building and you boom, and then does it explode?
Of course, there's got to be a reason to blow up the building,
okay.
But no, it's definitely not like the movies. That's for sure. There's no fireball.
Nothing like that.
No,
that's a downer.
Yeah.
That's a downer. Have you ever driven into a wall to knock it down or anything like that?
No, but one time to control traffic, we moved our gun tube over and basically crushed this guy's roof. It was
now that's cool.
It was embarrassing at the time, but I guess
that's cool.
Later on it was.
Any scary moments about being a tank commander? You ever see an accident or anything?
Yeah, I had a driver who almost drove me off a bridge. That was pretty scary, but managed to stop that one. But no, one of my buddies his crew rolled off of a bridge, landed upside down in a dry riverbed. It was pretty scary.
Wow.
Yeah.
How deep?
It was probably about a 15-foot drop, and they were completely on top of the tank. I thought they were gone. Fires coming out of the engine and stuff like that, and knocked on the inside, and they were all right. Some bumps and bruises.
So then they get yelled at, right? Because tanks are expensive.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. Well, we're going to take a commercial here in a little bit, but before we do, I want to kind of set us up for it.
Sure.
We have actually several clips, little teasers, I guess we can say here, because you're a filmmaker, and one of the first teasers that we're going to show is Opie Winchester. Tell me a little bit about Opie Winchester. This was something that you shot recently here.
Right. The title itself is kind of confusing. OP is a military term. It stands for observation post, and then the name for it. So it's actually a verb. It's a position. So if you were talking on the radio or something like that, it would be how you would call on the radio.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so it's about these two guys who are behind enemy lines in Afghanistan. They find this guy who's emplacing a local national who's emplacing an IED, and the sergeant goes down there. He goes into action, but what happens is his partner, who's a young private, just finds out what the true baptism by fire is. It gets pretty hairy.
Where did you film this at?
Locally out here, we found a spot here, but the place is pretty populous, even in the even when you're out there, the hills have eyes. But it was more like we were shooting at night, and so we were surrounded with a lot of the homes and stuff. So what we wound up doing was we built these walls with blue screen, and we're gonna replace the background with Afghanistan, basically.
Oh, you could shoot Afghanistan, you could shoot Iraq, Palestine, you could shoot all that out here.
Yep, desert's a desert.
We have the Middle East in a nutshell. So in the scene, was this pulled from experience, or was this just something on the fly that you wrote?
The script, the piece is actually part of a feature script that I wrote that went to the semifinals at Nichols Fellowship last year. But it's a scene that isn't from person. I mean, the leadership part, the military experience leadership part, that is actually anecdotal. But the scene itself is fiction. It's just a situation to force the characters to deal with one another.
Okay, we're gonna play that here in a second. But when we come back, we're gonna talk about why this is like the question of like all these interesting characters and guests that we have on the show. Why the high desert? You know, why do you live here? We're also gonna talk about a light moment, you getting shot. It's a light moment. We'll get to that. Also, you have Abels Promise, which I believe we mentioned in the intro in my monologue. We're going to talk about Abels Promise. It's
Cool.
Kind of why he's here. We're going to be pushing that tonight. And then we'll get to your YouTube, Military Adventure Travel / Survivalist.
TSF channel,
Because that's some good stuff too. And I'm sure your military training probably
comes out in there.
coincided with that. Okay. So go ahead and take a look at this clip from Opie Winchester. And when we come back here on Desert Empire Vibe, we have Anthony Crossen, filmmaker and U.S. Veteran, here in the hot seat to talk to. Gotta pay some bills. We'll be right back on Desert Empire Vibe. Check it out. Hey, welcome back to Desert Empire Vibe. I'm your host, Andrew Caravella. Yes, we do entertainment, we do interviews, we do comedy, and we do live music. You sing?
No.
Darn it. Sorry. It was loud. You have a favorite artist? What kind of music do you do?
Oh man, all kinds. Mostly trance though, because it's cinematic.
Trance?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No
Yep.
country or anything?
No.
It's a military thing. It's a stereotype.
No,
I'm
that would be
stereotyping
classic
you.
rock. Classic rock
Classic
would be
rock.
the.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you were like out there doing tank commander stuff, are you guys, hey guys, let's listen to some trance?
Actually, when we rolled into Baghdad, I think I was playing. What was that? That fireman movie that Ron Howard did, Backdraft. I was
Backdraft,
playing
yeah.
the theme for Backdraft
Good.
when we rolled into
That
Baghdad.
is super dramatic
It's
stuff.
epic.
Right there.
Got to keep it epic.
So, did you get homesick when you were overseas, or did it just remind you of the desert?
No.
No jackrabbits?
No. There's the thing about being deployed is one of the most frustrating things is that you're basically removed from your life and you don't have any control over what happens.
Oh, that's like my
back
daily
home.
routine.
It kind of sucks. Yeah,
Yeah, it's my daily routine here.
Yeah.
I try to speak to my television audience like Wile E. Coyote, just like a help me sign, save me. Why the high desert? Why live here?
There are a couple reasons. My last assignment was at Fort Irwin, and I did not want to live on post. So I actually rented a house in Apple Valley for a great price.
Okay.
It was over on Desert Knolls area.
Oh, that is a good area.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, my backyard was the golf course, had a pool.
That is kind of
cool. I mean, it was awesome.
Very cool.
And then after I retired, I moved down the hill. I was at Huntington Beach. I'm originally from the OC. And
the desert, see, that's where I don't know.
Well, the thing is about the desert is it's epic. So you can't go anyplace else. I remember driving on the 40 and just seeing these bare hills with no buildings, no trees, just the geography of the land. And I remember driving and seeing a valley, and I realized that you could fit the entire LA basin. So it's the scale of the place.
I usually sleep on those parts of the journey.
You're missing it. You are
Trust
missing
me,
it.
every road trip my parents took me on, I wasn't missing anything. I start to, because apparently I do conspiracy theories, so I started to think like, that's government-owned land. There must be alien stuff happening there.
Well, I used to think other things. See, that's what got me into Abels Promise, actually, because like I said, when I got assigned here, I was living here, but I was driving all the way to Fort Irwin, which is about an hour drive, which gives me lots of time to ruminate.
Think and get crazy in the head, yeah.
And I was going through a divorce, and so one of my main thoughts as I was driving through the desert was, I wonder how many bodies are buried out here. Which kind of started the whole inception of this story.
Yeah, new one pops up almost every month, so. Okay, now let's get to a light moment. getting shot.
Yes.
So you have a clip that we're going to show here of getting shot at. What was this for?
I do it for my art.
You do it for your art. So you're laying on it's you're the actor, and you're laying on the ground, you're doing a monologue, and then they just off you.
Yes,
right?
yes.
All right, let's actually take a look right now.
Look. Short films have 3 main problems, okay? No character development, actors that don't belong on screen, and the stakes. The stakes normally aren't high enough. Look, we have a script that deals with all that.
Wow, that's how'd you guys shoot that? Were you wearing a bulletproof vest and they just like capped you?
Yeah, basically. Well, no, it was. So no, we did it traditional. We did the squibs and everything. I was wearing a vest, but it did thump you. You don't realize it that those caps, they explode in both ways. So I got thumped. Definitely felt those, but I mean, it was cool. I mean, we did it old school, blood bags with the squibs and everything.
Oh yeah,
very effective.
That was awesome. Personal experience. I want to go back to the military. Overseas in that desert, were you getting shot at?
No, we were getting blown up a lot. But we were lucky that.
Did you ever have something like zip past you? Like you felt like, oh my God, that was a bullet that just went past me.
Yeah, sure. Lots of times.
What does that feel like? Is that scary, or is it just like like a fly, whatever?
I think I take for granted how many times I've been on ranges and stuff like that. So, you're always around weapons firing and stuff like that. Not like ricochets are going by your head all the time, but it's kind of part and parcel of the job. So immediately, right away, there's no but it's you understand that something's happening and you need to take some steps.
Very interesting. Tell me about Abels Promise, because the scene that we just saw where you get shot at, that was a pitch, I believe, for Abels Promise, correct?
Yes. That was the tail end of a pitch video that we had a couple years ago for Kickstarter, and it was the idea is like I said, I was driving through the desert and wondering how many bodies were buried out here, and it basically began this idea of some guy burying somebody out in the desert, and then it kind of backfilled from there the story. Why was he doing that? What was going on? And the idea is this guy who's a cop discovers that his wife is having an affair, and he decides to do something about it. That's the gist of it.
Okay.
But it's kind of a surprise who it is at the end. That's the big reveal. That's the hook.
Okay, very cool. So we can't show too much from what I've been told of this film, because you're getting it ready for film festivals.
Yeah.
Correct. So we'll do what we can. Tell us a little bit about the scene that we're about to see. It looks like he's going to be getting ready for something.
Right. So in this trailer, it's kind of a teaser for the film. He's understands something is going on and he's about to take steps, but the problem is that he's a cop, and so what he's about to do kind of goes against his grain. He knows it's wrong, of course, but it's something he feels he's got to do.
All right, let's take a look.
Life's full of problems. My problem has my wife on one side and another man on the other. Someone close to the family. Every problem has a fix. But this fix goes against everything I stand for.
Wow, very intense. I can't wait to. I actually know what happens, but I'm not going to tell any of you guys. It's good. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see the ending of it.
Thanks,
All right. Well, we have some time left, so I want to kind of try to push your YouTube channel too. What do we have here? It's military adventure, travel, and survivalist.
Right, TSF channel on YouTube. It's it started out kind of as a gear review thing, and then it's kind of segueing into more skill-based and using those skills both for personal adventure type stuff and self-reliance. So it's kind of straddling that line. Lately, I've been kind of looking at veterans and how the lack of a mission after they get out or something like that. Just the suicide rate is still really high. And so I'm kind of segueing and discussing things like having these personal goals, doing these extraordinary things.
Almost like a therapy.
Right.
Right, yeah.
It absolutely is, because you gotta have goals. You gotta keep making things happen even in your personal life. And so some of these challenges, you know, whether you're going on a backpack trip or you're doing some kind of travel thing.
How do you find what to film? Like, do you go do research and say, I'm going to shoot something on this, or how do you do it?
Well, I get an idea of a challenge that I want to take myself, and then I'll just bring the cameras along.
And you're like out there on the ground.
Right.
There's no one with you. You shoot it all yourself.
Right. It's pretty tough, actually. You know, there's all this stuff that you got to live with for the trip and the physical aspect of it, and then all the camera gear that you got to haul with you.
How many cameras do you bring with you?
Two. Normally just a GoPro, and then I've got a Sony, but with manual lenses, so it's all like real old school film school stuff.
And you edit it all too, right?
Right. It's all edited by me, starring my rambling self. You know, it's just.
How long? Okay, let's say you go do one, right? How long does it take you to edit that all together? Because these are quite lengthy YouTube videos.
Right. They could be half an hour, 45 minutes sometimes.
So it's a show.
Right. Depending on, you know, the length of the trip. So
very cool. How do we find you? How do we find you on YouTube? How do we see what Anthony Crossen is doing?
Go to YouTube, search for the TSF channel. That's what it is. The TSF channel. Just look it up on YouTube. You'll find it there.
What does TSF stand for?
It's kind of embarrassing.
That's good. That's why we want to hear it.
All right. So the Sabo Fighter, which refers back to my tank commander time.
The Sabo, S-A-B-O?
D-O-T, French for pedals.
French for pedals.
Yeah, tank ammunition, buddy.
Oh, okay. it's an inside thing.
Right,
I got it. The Sabo Fighter. That's cool. That's really cool. Hey, Anthony, I want to say thank you so much, sir, for joining me here on Desert Empire Vibe. I'm Andrew Caravella. Make sure that you go to the Sabo Fighter TSF Films,
TSF channel.
the TSF channel on YouTube. Also, you can check us out on Facebook, Vibe TV Show. Once again, thank you for joining us for Desert Empire Vibe, and we'll see you next time. Later.